title of today's lecture is current mirrors. So, what we are going to cover in today's lecture, they are listed here. First, I will explain what are current mirrors. After that, I will tell you why we need these kind of current mirrors, right? And then we will discuss how to implement a current mirror, and finally we are going to discuss in little more detail implementation of a current mirror with the help of MOSFET device, and finally the summary. So let's start. What is a current mirror? So mirror word is there, and this mirror word signifies its functioning. So a current mirror actually, that is a circuit block, means it is a circuit whose function is to produce a copy of current. So this is a type of your photocopier machine. So current mirror, what it does, it takes the current from some source and it makes a copy of that current, and that copy can be used for some specific task or for some different block in your electronic system. So what happens, that is shown here in this diagram. So we start with a reference generator. Reference generator is actually a current source, and we are calling it a reference because we are going to make copy of this current. So that's why this current will act as a reference current. So when we generate a current, we need a constant current source, and in earlier lectures you have seen how we can generate a current. But the circuits which we have seen so far, they are very simple circuits of a current source. So actually when we use it in an electronic system, so we try to improve its performance and we do lot of things. So we make many corrections so that the current can remain stable into the system. And because of that, the circuit for generating a constant current become very complex. So if we need constant current sources at different locations in an electronic system, then it is not advisable to repeat same kind of complex current source circuit at multiple locations. So normally what we do, we have a single circuit that may be a very good quality circuit, means its performance is very good, and that we are considering as a reference, and wherever we need current, we make a copy from this reference source and we use that copy of current at that particular location. So this concept is shown here in this graph. So the reference current that is copied, one copy is I1 and second copy is I2. These two copies can be used at two different locations. In the same way, we can have multiple copies. So what happens in current mirror? Actually, we start with a relatively complex circuit, and that circuit is actually the circuit which generates this reference current. Sometimes it requires some external adjustments also, and it is used, this complex circuit is used to generate a stable constant current source, and that stable constant current source is our reference current, right? And then we make copy of this. This current is then copied to many current sources into the system, right? So that is actually the function of current mirror. So reference current is copied, and for copying this reference current we have a copy circuit. You can see here. So here you can see this reference current, this is current source, and it's a complex current source, and then this current is copied with the help of a copy circuit. You see there is a copy circuit, and then this copy is applied to some other circuit where current is needed, and for that purpose you see here again a MOSFET device is used. So when current is supplied to that second block, that I out, which is going to some other block, that current is generated with the help of MOSFET device, and this MOSFET device is controlled by this copy circuit. So that way one copy of reference current will be supplied to the output circuit with the help of a copy circuit and a MOSFET device. So, in summary we can say that if we use a current mirror, then we can avoid the repetition of same complex current short circuit in an electronic system. So, basically the repetition of complex circuit is avoided with the help of this mirroring circuit. Now, once you understand the basic concept of current mirrors, now let us see why we use it. So, some part of that is already clear to you in the first slide. Now, we will discuss some other points here in this slide. So, it is used in those circuits, for example, if your circuit need multiple copies of same current at different locations. So, this point we discussed in the first slide. So, if same amount of current is needed at different locations, so instead of designing a constant current sources at all those locations, it is better to take a copy from one source and use it wherever it is required. It is not necessary that if we need same amount of current, even if we use different current, right, even the current which is multiple of I reference. For example, I reference is 1 milliampere and at some location you need 2 milliampere. That also is possible. You know, in a photocopier machine what happens, there is a function with the help of which you can enlarge your document, and there is a function with the help of which you can reduce your document. So, that enlargement and reduction is possible. So, if you this reference current source is suppose 1 milliampere and at some locations you need 2 milliampere, that is possible, and if you need only 1 milliampere, that is also possible, and if you need for example 0.5 milliampere, that is also possible. If you need 0.6 milliampere, that is also possible. So, what you have to do, you can get any multiple of this reference current, right. Next point where you use current mirror. So, suppose if you want your current to track each other, suppose there are multiple currents at different locations in your system and all these currents should track each other. It means if one current is increasing, other current should also increase, or if one current is decreasing, other current should also decrease by same ratio. If that kind of requirement is there, that is also possible with the help of current mirror. You see, all currents will follow the master current and the master current is reference current. So, that kind of tracking of current is possible with the help of current mirrors. Another reason for using current mirrors is that if original current source is not strong enough to drive the load, you know, every load has some requirement. Some load needs very high amount of current, some loads need low current, and suppose the current source which you have designed, that current source cannot supply sufficient current which is needed by the load. You can use a current mirror, and with the help of this current mirror you can multiply the output current by the desired factor. So, that kind of thing is possible. Another reason, you see, you know, the current source, the main requirement with the current sources is that its output resistance should be very high, or you can say this output resistance is actually its internal resistance, that should be very high as compared to load resistance. Sometimes what happens, the current source may not have that sufficiently high output resistance. You can say your current source which you have designed, that have low output resistance, and low does not have any meaning. So, when we say low, it is relative to something. So, when we are saying low means it is less as compared to load. So, if the output resistance of the current source is less as compared to load resistance, or maybe it is higher, but it is not sufficiently higher. So, in that kind of situation we can do we can use current mirror. Then that current can be mirrored to have a source with high output resistance, right. So, low resistance current sources they can be converted into high resistance current sources with the help of current mirror. So, you can use a multiplication factor 1, means whatever is reference current, same is your output current, but the advantage you are going to get that your output resistance will increase with the help of current mirrors. Now we discussed many situations where we can use a current mirror in the circuit. So the major application, this is the most important application. So wherever we need a high value of resistance, right? Wherever we need a high resistance, very high value of resistance. For example, in case of high gain differential amplifier, you know, in case of amplifiers, what happens? Gain depends on the resistance. In case of MOSFET based amplifier, gain depends on the drain resistance. Higher the resistance, high will be the gain. So in order to implement a high gain amplifier, you need a high value of drain resistance, and that high value of drain resistance, you know, requires lot of surface area. Even if we use active resistors, they will definitely give us high resistance. We can save surface area, but that resistance sometimes is not enough. We need very high resistance. And in case of current mirror or in case of current sources, that is possible because current sources provides you infinite, ideally infinite resistance, practically very high resistance. So that's why it is mentioned here that in high gain differential amplifier or even in the simple amplifier, high gain amplifiers, we can use current mirror as a load so that we can achieve very high value of gain. So I think now the concept is clear to you that what is a current mirror and why we are going to use current mirror. So we have discussed many situations which makes it very clear that how useful is a current mirror arrangement. So in the next slide, we are going to discuss how to implement a current mirror. So when we implement a current mirror, we have to go through two different steps. So first step is that we are starting with a reference current, and that reference current is going to be used to produce a copied or mirrored current. So for that purpose, what we do, first we generate a voltage from this reference current, and then this voltage is used to produce the desired amount of current, right? So we go through these steps. So any current mirror have two different steps. One is to go from reference current to a voltage, means this current to voltage conversion, and then from this voltage we have to produce a current, right? And remember, we are going to discuss implementation of current mirror with the help of MOSFET device. So let's talk about the first step, that is our input step actually. So this step converts a current into voltage, right? For this purpose, what kind of circuit arrangement we use? We use this kind of circuit arrangement. You see here, this I reference current that is shown here. Now this current is supplied to this MOSFET M1, and you see how the connections are made. This gate is connected to drain, right? It means this device is always going to operate in saturation region. So that we have seen in case of active resistor discussion, that if drain is connected to gate, device will always be in the saturation region. Now why we made this kind of connection? You know, in case of MOSFET, drain current depends on the gate voltage, right? So you can say the drain current is function of your gate voltage, but there is a inverse relationship also, right? Like whatever drain current is flowing into device, corresponding to that current there is a gate voltage, and that we can find out easily with the help of equation of current in the saturation region, right? In that equation you put value of drain current and you can find out what is the gate source voltage needed. So the gate source voltage for that device, that can be determined like this. So that way, whatever current, I reference current, that forms the drain current of this device, and corresponding to that drain current we get a gate voltage. So that way we can say that this reference current have been used to produce a voltage here, and whenever there is change in the reference current, that voltage will also change. So you can see here this function is inverse function of reference current, Actually current is function of voltage, but here we are using inverse, so that's why this is indicated as inverse function. So in this circuit you have to remember two things. Number one, gate source voltage of this device is actually equal to drain source voltage. This is true because whenever you connect your gate with the drain, so this is your gate source voltage here, this is gate source voltage, right? So this gate source voltage which is appearing here, that is equal to your drain source voltage which appears here in this portion. So drain source voltage. So here between these two terminals you have VDS 1. So your VDS 1 is equal to your GS 1, and remember this thing that your device M1 is in saturation. So that way the first step is complete, that from the reference current you can produce a voltage here, that is your input state. Now second state, if you okay, sorry, this is actually step, STEPE, right, STEP, step, right. Now second, you can call it a second stage or output stage, that is your second step. So here in this step, this is your second step and this was your first step. This voltage which you have got at the input of this transistor, that voltage will be converted into current. For that purpose, it's very simple. You know, a MOSFET is the device. The voltage which is applied to the gate of the MOSFET, that will reflect in the form of current at the drain terminal, right. So if you apply this gate voltage to the gate of second device, then you can produce a current corresponding to this input gate voltage. So that arrangement is like this. So whatever voltage you are getting here, right, that voltage is being applied to the input of this M2 second transistor. So this voltage will control the current here. So now you can see from this reference current we have produced one voltage here, and this voltage V is deciding this output current, right. Now here in the circuit, if you see M1 and M2, you see the gate terminal of these two devices are connected together. It means gate source voltage of first transistor is equal to gate source voltage of second transistor. You can see here gate source voltage of first transistor is equal to gate source voltage of second transistor, and reason is both these gates are connected together. And remember one more thing, that this gate source voltage of first transistor is equal to drain source voltage of this transistor, right. So this is drain source voltage. So drain source voltage is also coming here. So gate source voltage of two transistors is same, and gate source voltage is equal to drain source voltage of first transistor. So this is the important conclusion from this figure. Now we have discussed the concept behind the design of a current mirror with the help of MOSFET device. Now again look at this circuit. If you go to your book, you will find circuit is connected like this. Sorry. This circuit is almost similar to this circuit. Only thing is that it is drawn a little bit in a different way. And another difference which is indicated here, that it is I reference instead of I reference. In your book it is mentioned as I in, but remember I in or I reference, it is same thing. So what is before this part, that is not shown here, because we don't know how this reference current is implemented. I told you in the beginning that there is a very complex circuit for obtaining the reference current. So we are not showing that circuit. We are interested just in that part which is making a copy of the reference current or input current. All this circuit which is used here, that circuit is a copy circuit, and output current is coming here. Now so you have to remember several things about this. So in this circuit you see VDS2 is actually your V out. So this is your VDS2, right. So this VDS2 is your out, drain source voltage of second device. This is your output voltage, right. So this VDS2 may not be equal to VDS1. Your VDS1 is here. So VDS1 and VDS2 are not same. But remember, this VDS2, this is VDS1, okay. So this VDS2 may not be equal to gate source voltage. You see, VDS1 is equal to gate source voltage 1 and gate source 1 is equal to gate source voltage 2. So these three voltages, I mark it with a different color. These three voltages, this VDS1, VGS1 and VGS2, these three voltages are same voltages. But this VDS2, that VDS2 may not be same as VDS1 or it may not be same as VGS2. So this VGS2 and VDS2, they are they may not be same. They may be same, they may not be same. Why? Because this VDS2, this voltage will depend on your load. So what kind of load is connected here in this circuit? That load is going to decide how much voltage will appear here in this circuit. Because current is fixed, if load is changing, voltage across load will change, and if voltage across load changes, the voltage which is appearing across this M2 device, that will change. So the output voltage is may change depending on the load, but the current is going to remain same, and that is our requirement in a current source, right? Now in the next slide we will discuss this particular configuration of current mirror in little more detail. So it's the same circuit, all the concepts are repeated here, VGS1, VGS2, and they are same, and VDS1 is also same. VDS, again I'm indicating here, VDS1 is voltage between this terminal and this terminal, and let's mark it again with green to make it clear to you that whenever you go for this kind of analysis, remember that these three voltages which are marked with this green color, they are always same, right? Okay. Now the two MOSFET devices, they are connected like this, the gates connected together, right? Now let's go for its detailed analysis. There are two things. For a simple analysis, for very simple analysis, we can ignore the lambda effects which are present into the MOSFET devices, and for like more accurate analysis, we can include the lambda. So we will do this analysis in two different ways. First, we will ignore the lambda effects because that is very simple, and then we will include the lambda effects, right? So first let's discuss the case when no lambda effects are present here. In that case, you know, M1 and M2 two devices are there, and the current in these two devices are given by this I reference. So this I reference means this is your I in, and I reference, it is same thing, right? So sometimes it is considered input current also, because the reference current is going to the input terminal of this current mirror. So the I reference will be given by this. You see here, this W by L ratio is for the first transistor, and the transistor which is here, that is an NMOS transistor. Sorry. And the second transistor M2 is also NMOS. So the equation of current for this transistor is also mentioned here. Remember, we are considering that devices are in saturation because we have seen the connection of this M1 drain and gate connected together, so it is in saturation, and the second device is also going to operate in saturation, right? We have to ensure this because the current at the output is going to remain same, so we have to make it sure that this device remains in the saturation. Anyway, so we have written the equation of current for the two devices. So here you can see VGS and VGS. So we are not mentioning VGS1 and VGS2. Why? Because the gate of these two devices are connected together and sources are also connected together. So gate source voltage, that is same for these two devices. And M1 and M2, they are also identical devices. Since they are identical devices, so this mu naught C aux, this parameter, that is actually your K prime, that is same because the devices are identical. and their gate source voltages of these two devices, they are also equal, and that's why we are mentioning it just VGS. Now if you take the ratio of these two currents, what we get this, because this part and this part and this part, this whole part will cancel because they are same. So what is left behind is W by L VGS minus VT. This part will also cancel, so this whole part will also cancel because VGS is same and VT is also same because they are mass transistor, identical transistor. So this ratio of I out to I reference, so that will be like this. Now suppose you make W by L of these two transistor, W by L of one is equal to W by L of second transistor. In that case what will happen, I out, that will be equal to I reference. So whatever is your input current, output current will be equal to that. But for that you have to ensure that W by L ratio of both transistors are same. If you want this I2 to be multiple of I in, suppose you want that I out is 2 times I in, so what you have to do, W by L of second transistor should be 2 times the W by L of the first transistor. So just by deciding the W by L ratio of these two transistors M1 and M2, you can decide whether output current is going to be equal to the input current, or I2 current or output current is a multiple of input current. So multiplication factor is decided by the ratio of W by L values of these two. Now this is your important conclusion, so you have to remember it. Just remove this circle, right. Okay. Now the main conclusion is I out, your output current will follow your reference current. If your reference current is changing, your output current will change. So whatever reference current, exactly same output current you can get, or output current can be a multiple of your reference current. There will not be any kind of deviation. Now discuss what happens if lambda effects are considered, and it is important because practically MOSFET device have lambda effects in it. We can't ignore lambda effects. So let's see what happens if we consider lambda effects. So let's first write the equation of current in these two devices. This is equation of current in M1, right, ID1, and this is equation of current in M2 device, right, ID2. And here you see VGS it's same because that is going to remain same, gate source voltage is same for both devices. Now M1 and M2, they are identical parameters, identical transistors, sorry. So all this part it will cancel like this, and even this VGS minus VTH, that part will also cancel because they are identical transistors. So the ratio will be like this. So the ratio of these two currents, so I put these brackets here, and remember this ID2 actually is, that is your ID1 is your I reference, yes, I reference, okay, oh sorry, yeah, that is I reference current, and here this ID2 is your output current. So you can see the ratio of reference current and output current, that of course depends on W by L ratio, as the earlier case when we were ignoring lambda effect, but these terms are also coming. You see, we are not cancelling these. Why we are not cancelling these? Because your VDS1 may not be equal to VDS2, that we discussed in the earlier slide also. Your VDS1 is always fixed, VDS1 is equal to VGS1 or VGS2, but your VDS2, drain source voltage of second device, that actually is your V out, that depends on load. It depends on load. So what is load? That will decides how much is your V out, right? So since now VDS1 is not equal to VDS2, so that's why we cannot cancel this term which contains this lambda. So here in this case what happens, even if you make W by L ratios of these two devices equal, you will see that your reference current will not follow, your output current will not follow the reference current. So this is problem. So even if W by L ratios are same, this ratio of these two currents is going to be like this, and this value which is given by this, the ratio of this lambda term, that value will keep on changing because your VDS2 that keep on changing with your load and with your output voltage. So since this VDS2 is changing, so the ratio of ID1 and I2 will not remain constant. So whenever your output voltage is changing, the ratio of these two currents is changing. So your output current may not follow reference current exactly. So this kind of problem is there, and that is a matter of serious concern. So because our purpose is that whatever output current we want, so that current should be a multiple of reference current, and that the value of that multiple should remain constant throughout the operating range. But when the output voltage is changing, VDS2 is changing, and if VDS2 is changing, ratio of these two currents is changing. So even if your reference current is fixed, your output current may vary, right? So that is a issue which we need to solve, and how to solve it, that we will see in the coming lectures. Now if we look at the characteristics of the current mirror, the characteristics look like this. So here you can see on x-axis this is output voltage, and this output voltage is actually drain source voltage of your second device, and here this is output current, and this output current is actually your ID2, right? So here you can see the characteristics. So how the output voltage, means drain source voltage of second transistor changes, then how this output current or drain current is changing. So their characteristics are just like the characteristics of MOSFET device, and remember important parameters from these characteristics. So you can see here, so this is the point. So for right, so there is a certain output voltage, right, and that is your V minimum, and you see this V minimum is different for these different curve. Here the V minimum is this, here V minimum will come here, and for this top curve V minimum will come here, right? So there is a minimum voltage here below which this current that varies with the output voltage, and that is something which don't want in any kind of current source, right? So that V minimum we can get from here, and the output resistance that we can see from the slope of these curves, right? So what we need, the output current should not vary when this VDS2 is changing, right? That kind of thing we have to ensure. I hope that now this concept of current mirror is clear to you. So let's summarize the results. So we have discussed how to implement a current mirror. The circuit of current mirror look like this. Two transistors M1 and M2, they are connected like this. Gate of these two transistors are connected together. That's why the gate source voltage of first and gate source voltage of second transistor, both these voltages are same voltages, and these voltages are also same as the drain source voltage of first transistor, because drain and gate are connected together here. So whatever is gate source voltage, the same is drain source voltage. So this concept we discussed, and then we saw that if we do little detailed analysis, and if we ignore the lambda effects in the device, then output current is a function of reference current. So depending on the ratio of W by L values of these two transistors, we can decide how the output current and reference current are related to each other. But if we include the lambda effects, you see here there are some mathematical terms which we cannot cancel out, and since these terms are present here, so this VDS2, that is a serious concern. VDS1 no problem, right? VDS1 is not a problem because VDS1 is always constant, and that is equal, that depends on your input current, and that depends on your gate source voltage. Of course, gate source voltage is dependent on input current, but your VDS2, that depends on your output voltage, and output voltage, you know, it keep on changing. It is a constant current source, not a constant voltage source. So output voltage changes, so VDS2 changes, so the ratio of these two current changes. It means your output current that may not follow your reference current. So this is a major concern, and this is because of presence of lambda effects into the device. So we need to do something in order to this kind of problem which is occurring because of the change in the output voltage into the circuit. So I hope the topic is clear to you. In the next class, we are going to discuss how to solve this particular problem, which is arising because of presence of drain source voltage of the second resistor. So now if you have any question,